I could have a relationship with an orangutan without a shadow of a doubt.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mikes on the TalkSport warm-up. It's a massive day of football and we are all over it. Porky's off to Stamford Bridge after the show for the Everton game, where the players will once again ignore him completely. We're heading up to Molineux for the 12:30 kick-off between Wolves and Steve McLaren's derby, and we'll get a preview of Manchester City against Middlesbrough from Adrian Durham. We'll have some tales from our trip to Liverpool last night, where Mr Parry once more managed to book us into one of the worst hotels in Britain, and we'll have our 1 minute moan as well, which may be related to that. 08717 223344. You're listening to the warm-up with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on TalkSport. This is Talk Sport. This is, of course, the warm-up. It's Saturday. It's a massive day of football. And it's time to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And I have to say that I put out a message earlier saying the warm-up, but you look like you've been dug up.
Yeah, actually, I feel fine.
Well, I was about to say, we had a very active night last night in Liverpool
indeed.
at the O2
Ended
Academy.
up, I have to admit, in a bit of karaoke.
Are we going to see a bit of this karaoke during the course of this show?
Well, you may hear some of it. They're working on it behind the scenes there. I think they're auto-tuning some of the vocals.
I think it's got to be a Twitter special as well, though, hasn't it?
We're going to try and get it out on Twitter, yeah.
What's your Twitter address?
My Twitter address is at IROMG.
And mine's at Mike Parry 8.
Yes.
And I tell you, if I can get that on Twitter, you're going to witness it, because I get all the stick round here for exercising my vocal cords, but you were a menace.
Great plaudits last night, in fact, for singing one of your mates' favourite songs, Don't Look Back in Anger.
Don't Look Back in Anger, that's right,
I thought it might upset a few people in Liverpool, but they seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, they did. By the way, they don't like the Manx up there, do they?
They certainly don't.
They were on my side in that spat between myself and Liam Gallagher.
Well, they were up to a point when you said that, we don't really like the Mancunians over here in Liverpool, do you? And then it turned out there was quite a few people from Manchester.
Yes, there were, actually.
Who actually weren't so happy with you.
Yeah, but they were good Mancunians, it was good. Now, this outrageous story published by the Liverpool Echo this morning...
Yes, are you consulting lawyers on this?
I certainly am.
Yeah.
Certainly am. They've got a picture of the Everton team standing on the platform at Runcorn, OK, which is where the teams from Everton and Liverpool depart on the train to their London games quite often, because they take the coach out of the city. They don't have to all, disembark at Lime Street Station, attract lots of attention, and they can file on the train at Runcorn. So,
I'm assuming that they go all the way down to Euston. They don't get off sort of somewhere north of London and get in a coach.
No, well, I mean, London's a bigger place, and they're not as obviously, Everton Football Club in London as they are obviously in the centre of Liverpool at Liverpool Lime Street. So there we are. We glide into Runcorn coming from London, one stop short of Lime Street, and just a few minutes away. And there's the team standing there. Lukaku with his headphones on.
He was actually very, very easy to pick out.
He was
the only one with red headphones. Now, he's an Everton player.
Yes.
What's he doing wearing red headphones?
Well, I don't
know. Red in
know.
Liverpool is a colour for one club only.
I do agree with you there.
Should he not have blue headphones?
Well, maybe, but that's a matter for himself. But anyway, I just took a picture. Now,
you didn't just take a picture.
Do you mean?
You were waving at them. You were waving, you were knocking on the window, you were going, hello, boys, I'm here, the Porkmeister, your favourite fan.
You're trying to make it out some sort of excited schoolboy, my football heroes were standing there. Well,
and also we were sitting in a first-class carriage. People were starting to get a little bit irritable with all the noise and racket that was going on.
Well, the chap opposite complained I leaned across his his table.
I think he was also a Liverpool fan.
He was, and spilt his water, but it's only water, and I'd give him £5 for the dry cleaning bill.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway, this idea that I was trying to attract attention is not so. I was merely expressing my best wishes to the team on their voyage to London to take on Chelsea at 5:30 this afternoon.
Well, let me read you the headline in the Liverpool Echo online. It says, Everton players blank Mike Parry as they leave for Chelsea.
That's an outrage. It's an outrage.
They then quote your tweet where you say, the Everton team waving to me at Runcorn Station as they prepare for the journey to London to face Chelsea. So excited to see the Porkmeister.
Yes.
Now, very clearly, they're not waving at you at all. In fact, they're studiously ignoring you.
Well, no, that was after they'd finished waving. I couldn't take the picture while I was waving at them because, of course, I was waving at them. They were waving back.
Yeah.
And then, when they'd finished waving and they got back into their thoughts with their headphones on, I then took the picture. So, I mean, to say that they ignored me, I mean, that's a really damaging to my reputation.
In the piece of the Echo, they quote your tweet and then they say, he tweeted ironically, right? Gerard Delafeu yawned. Tom Cleverley and Ashley Williams studiously avoided Parry's wave, while Aaron Lennon clearly spotted Parry, but delivered the kind of beaming smile he famously gave the day he signed for Everton.
Oh, well, that's very nice, isn't it? And I thought I had friends on the Liverpool Echo. You know, I thought these boys were my boys. You know what I mean?
This takes me back to the time when we spoke to David Moyes when he was Everton manager on the phone.
That's right.
And it was after a game, I think it was a cup game somewhere, where you had been spotted by the coach driver of the Everton team, and you were waving once again.
It was at Scunthorpe.
And David Moyes said on the radio, quoted directly, he said, we pulled in because we thought this guy was a bit of a down and out and we better give him a ride to wherever he was going.
It's very nice.
He looked like he'd been abandoned by the side of the road.
I don't mind it. I don't mind if you thought I was a down and out. The point is I got on the team coach and I went to the game on the team coach next to the manager.
Well, they obviously weren't going to take you on the
experience.
Train. Now, what about David Moyes? Did you hear him on the news there saying, sometimes it's really good actually to watch the game from further back in the stadium?
Yes.
I don't think it's very good news to watch Sunderland from any point in the stadium at this rate.
Well, I think you've been so unkind there. I mean, Davies inherited a nightmare situation, hasn't he? How many points has he got? 2 so far out of 30, is it?
Well, he hasn't won a game yet, has he?
No, exactly. And
so he certainly hasn't got 3.
He hasn't got 3. You're absolutely right. And so my heart goes out to him because he's a terrifically
But is this not just another example of football managers speak? The whole point of him not being on the touchline is meant to be a punishment.
Well,
so
do you know
for him
what?
To say actually it's better sometimes to be up in the stand. That can't be right.
Well, do you know what? I wonder whether this will break a mould a bit because when you play local football and all that kind of stuff, and if you're a substitute or you're the coach with the bucket and the sponge.
Do they still have that?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Do they?
Well, in local football they do, yeah. You stand on the touchline and you watch a game. Now, I find that hard enough to watch a game, even when there's bodies between me and the far corner flag or something like that. You know what I mean? And
well, your field of vision isn't very great, is it?
Of course it is. Now, if you take that to another low level, and bearing in mind that most dugouts are actually at pitch level now, aren't they?
Yes.
But they used to actually be...
They used to be below the level,
Yeah, they used to be about 3 feet down.
Well, you used to make fun of Andre Villas-Boas for crouching
down his haunches
and trying
to watch
to
a game.
see everything at knee level.
Yeah, I don't know how a manager can take a game in, even from the same level as his players, because you only get the direction of left, right, up and down. You do not get depth. You can't see depth.
That's true, but surely the whole point of being on the touchline and being in that technical area is that you could shout instructions, you could actually directly communicate with the players, which you can't do from being up in the stand.
I agree, but I think it's a bit like man marking and zonal marking to me, okay?
Is it?
And the point is that, yes, you can be on
no idea you're going to be so technical.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be technical. If you're in the technical area, funnily enough, you can shout at your full-back nearest to you, you can shout at your winger next to you, but you can't shout to the lad who's on the far side. Well, no. You can't shout to the midfield player who's playing on the far touchline.
No, but you can
certainly
you
can't shout at your left
but you communicate with the player and tell him to tell the other player something.
So that to me is the man marking equivalent of a coach's job in the technical area, right?
Yeah.
The zonal marking is to go 10 or 12 rows back to watch the game from a perspective looking down upon the field of play.
Because, of course, rugby coaches do that,
They do, yeah. They sit in a box somewhere, don't they? Yeah.
Well, right at the top of the stadium.
That's right, yeah. And then, in my view, you can see the emerging pattern of the way the team is playing. And then,
that's what I mean. If you're watching Sunderland, that's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Well, I think it's illustrative and illuminating, I would think. But what I'm saying is then, when you come to half-time, you get in there and you say, now, look, lads, I can see exactly what's going wrong here. I don't think you can appreciate that from so close a proximity to the field of play.
I think he's just making excuses for saying that, it's not going to damage his reputation. His problem is, right, if they lose Sunderland, right, and because they lose, or they lose partly as a result of him not being able to issue instructions or whatever, right, he might be out of a job.
I think people put too much store on the idea of the coach having a quick whisper in the ear of the fullback and all that kind of stuff, from the proximity of the technical. I think they do it because I think they're expected to. I mean, I remember Paolo Di Canio. He's the guy who he was at Sunderland, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was the guy that banned tomato ketchup.
Yeah, that guy, yeah. Now, I remember a Sunderland fan telling me that one of the most absurd things they thought about Paolo Di Canio was the theatrical nature with which he spoke to his players.
But fans like all that, though, don't they?
No, but he would actually go out and then he'd take his jacket, wrap it around his player's head and whisper to him conspiratorially. Yeah. And the way this Sunderland fan told me he said he was trying to make out he was some kind of tactical genius and that the instructions he was giving, we talked on this show last week about why clubs don't employ lip readers to lip read what the other coach is saying to his players, But he was, in a huddle with his player and all that kind of stuff. I think it's mostly theatrical. I don't think a game has ever been influenced by a coach, whether it be Mr. Koeman or Sir Alex Ferguson or Davy Moyes.
I don't agree.
Issuing an instruction to a player from the technical area. I mean, you ask a professional footballer, most of the players can't hear the coach anyway.
Yeah, but the whole idea of the fact the guy's standing there watching them,
Yes.
giving them the 1,000-yard stare, that's bound to have an effect on the players.
I don't think so.
Especially if he's a particularly intimidating guy.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if a player's on the far side of the pitch and he actually, messes something up because he tries to dribble out and he gets dispossessed, that's going to be seen in a far greater 3D perspective from the manager sitting 12 rows back than it is him pacing around in his technical area.
Well, the problem, once again, is with your theories. If you were right, then every manager would be up in the stands going, this is a much better place because Mike Parry said it was.
Sorry, but I have forward thinking on these things, and I sincerely believe that there'll be a lot of people out there who work in the game who have a lot of empathy with me and believe that what I'm saying is absolutely entirely correct.
Shame you didn't have any forward thinking when you booked that hotel last night. One of the worst hotels. You managed to find the 3 worst hotels in Britain. One in Rugby, right? One in Whitley Bay, and now in Liverpool. A place which is absolutely overflowing with great hotels.
I know.
You book us into the worst one.
It was a 3-minute walk away from the
so
arena.
what?
I can't win with you.
No.
If we get into a decent hotel and it's a cab ride away, you
Yeah.
moan like mad that, got to get a cab there and a cab back. I mean, you can't walk more than 200 yards.
I can walk as far as you like.
So I usually put us in a hotel within 200 yards because you always forget something.
Well, mostly I was running from that hotel just in case the bouncers were chasing me.
You're quite often in the midst of trying to
I've seen the
smuggle
time,
somebody
by the way.
back into the hotel, which
Not
didn't
true.
work at the Adelphi.
Incorrect.
Eh?
That's
Eh?
absolutely not true. That's a complete and utter calumny. If you're going to start instructing lawyers about Liverpool Echo, I'm going to start instructing lawyers for you. Now, the good news is, I believe that they have been able to transfer the karaoke exhibition from last night.
No, that's very bad news.
We'll have a listen to that coming up next. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics on the warm-up. Tara says this. She's tweeted at IROMG. Brilliant show last night up in Liverpool. Could you please wish my boyfriend Aaron a happy 30th birthday? We celebrated at your show last night.
Really? Well,
Yes.
Aaron, a happy 30th birthday, pal, and I hope you have a good day today. I'm getting a lot of tweets here which are incredibly misdirected, and that's down to your misinformation that you're giving people. Miner here says, for Porky to make the Echo with a headline like that, total humiliation indeed.
It's true.
I mean, this is, it's so wrong. And then Tristan says, don't worry, Porky. The Everton players must have gone all shy due to the magnitude of being in front of such a big celeb as yourself.
Yes.
Or was it just a big plank?
Some people, of course, are saying that the Everton players are very much in the wrong because they're multi-millionaires and they ought to be more respectful of their celebrity fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I'm not entirely sure is correct. I think they was probably in the zone. How about this one from Stephen? He says the Everton team were overjoyed to see Porky and it will inspire them to victory today.
Well,
they all love him.
I tell you what, if we get a result today at the Bridge, I'm going to claim some of the credit for giving the lads a pumping up sort of...
There was no sign of Ronald Koeman on the platform. Did you see Mr. Koeman
No, I
on
didn't
the
see Mr.
platform?
Koeman,
Do you think
no.
he travels under a different method? Would he maybe go down in a car?
Maybe. I think normally speaking, the manager travels with the players, doesn't he? I think that's part of the old team bonding stuff, isn't it? Certainly whenever when I was on the team coach, I don't know if I told you about that.
The time when they picked you up because they thought you were a vagrant?
No, they didn't. I was sitting at the front with Davey, that's Mr. Moyes to most people. And
you certainly jinxed him, didn't
Steve Round, who was the deputy, and the club doctor. So they all sort of sit up the front. And actually, funny enough, because it's quite interesting, really, but it's a world we don't often see, isn't it, the ordinary fan? Just behind where the execs were sitting, the manager and Steve Round and the doctor, there was an archway, like as though you were going into
like a first-class, second-class?
Yes, exactly. It was an archway, like you're going to another section of an aeroplane. And that's where... But, I mean, it was no different. It was still luxurious, and they all had tables and lots of lights.
But it's a demarcation zone, isn't it?
Demarcation zone, that's
so
right.
it's like, we're the teachers and you're the school children.
Yeah, that's
basically.
right, a bit like that.
Now, I also witnessed you trying to contact the Everton team and various executives at Bournemouth when we were there, because remember, as we were about to go into the stadium, up to the Champagne Lounge you took me to, the coach arrived. With the players in it. And you were again sort of jumping up and down, trying to wave at them, trying to get their attention. It was Roberto Martinez, of course, in those days.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Because that's now 3 Everton managers you've tried to get close to. Right?
I don't think so.
And failed miserably.
Yes.
And again, they all just came off the coach and completely blanked you. It's not the first time this has happened.
No, I'm respectful because I don't want to break the boys' concentration a few hours before the game, when they are in the zone.
We did also try that because we were standing in the tunnel, if you remember, when they were coming out to warm themselves up.
Exactly, that's absolutely right.
And they gave us a very odd look. In fact, John Stones in particular was giving you the old 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, but as I was donating...
Wondering what on earth you were doing, staggering about in the tunnel while these athletes, trained and honed athletes, were coming out.
Yeah, sure. But as I was donating £1,000 to charity at the time, it would be the equivalent of John Stones, with the mega money he earns, of John Stones donating £100,000 to charity. So I think it was quite a good reason for me to be there.
Yes, exactly right.
Now,
would you like to hear my karaoke from last night?
No.
Why did you no?
Well,
I have to come in, right, every single show that we do and listen to you, about every 5 minutes bursting into song for no apparent reason.
Let me just give the background to this, OK?
Yeah, right.
We couldn't go back into the Adelphi Hotel because the Adelphi Hotel will not allow anybody...
There was 4 very large bouncers on the door.
4 large and unfriendly bouncers.
Very unfriendly.
On the door. At the bottom of the steps there, so the grand entrance to a rather careworn hotel, I would say.
I would say a formerly very elegant place, probably.
And unbelievably, coming back from the show, we brought a few people back with us, and we like to, sit down in the lounge in our hotel afterwards and, just relax and unwind, have a few
couple of people,
sherbets.
particularly one particular couple from Coventry who's been to about 10 of our shows.
Exactly.
And we've become quite matey with them.
Yeah, and we go in, and then they recognised us as having, been there earlier, and then they said, can I see your room key, please? And we said, they haven't got room keys. They said, they're our guests. They're coming in for a drink. No, they're not. I said, what? No, I'm sorry. Unless...
No, they wouldn't let us even in past them,
No, unless they're residents, they can't come in. I said, don't be ridiculous. I said, we're residents. We will, be using your lake bar, and these are our friends, and they'll be doing it with us. No, they won't. They're not coming in.
I know.
They wouldn't let anybody in.
We actually said to them at one point, my daughter was there as well.
Yes.
And I think it was her that asked the question. She said, do you mean if I found a guy that I wanted to bring back to this hotel to spend the night with, that I wouldn't be allowed to bring him in? And they went, right, that's right, you can't.
Yeah, exactly. Not that ever has any intention to doing that, of course.
But the point is, you've got a room for one. I mean, which hotel have you ever stayed in where you're not allowed to have somebody in there with you?
I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the reason we've told you that story...
Fortunately, I wasn't doing anything like that.
No, you definitely weren't, and it was wrong of me to suggest that
Thank
you would. But that meant that we then had to go to the pub next door, which I think is the Crown.
The pub, which was actually a fantastic choice.
Exactly. I got fed up. I had business to do because we're involved in other things at the moment.
Aren't you?
Well, I was trying to sort something out. You know that, and so I had to go in and get on the phone and email.
I, on the other hand, preferred to just go and get myself.
You said, "Well, I'll go across the road with our guests," and you went into the pub. And you tell me what happened next.
Well, there was suddenly there was a karaoke thing going on. Right. Now, I don't normally do karaoke. There was a time when I used to do it at Christmas parties when I worked for the Mail. But
I've never seen you do karaoke.
You've never seen me doing it, no, because it's not something that I do. But I've actually, as you know, when I was at the Royal Academy of Music in my younger days, I have an 18 out of 18 pitch perfect ear for music.
You claimed to be a chorister.
No, I wasn't a chorister. I was a violinist.
Oh, sorry, you claimed to be an altar boy, didn't you?
I was an altar boy.
Weird altar boys, aren't they?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, just strange occupation for a young man to take up.
Why is it?
Well, most people go around building, model aeroplanes or
it's only on a Sunday.
Or shooting rabbits or something like that. And you want to be an altar boy.
So you think shooting rabbits and building aeroplanes is the way to go?
Well, no, but I mean, in the country.
What on earth do you know about children? You know nothing about children. I don't think you even ever were one.
Well, hang on. I can tell you, as a young kid, I like going cycling on my bike.
You collected Krugerrands when you were 7.
Well, I didn't collect them. I decided they were a worthwhile investment, It was part of my investment portfolio, which I've had all my life, OK?
How sad. Anyway,
yes.
I think you should hear my singing voice, because it's a lot better than yours, and people were absolutely astonished at the range that I was able to produce. Let's have a listen.
Yeah.
Something touched me deep inside today. The music died.
What do you think? It's great.
Is that it?
Well, I wasn't recording it. My daughter was recording it for some ridiculous reason.
Yeah.
She only recorded little, 15-second chunks.
How do we even know that was you?
Well, there's a video which I will put out on Twitter later on.
Oh,
very
really?
Clearly, you can see me wearing my grey suit, looking very elegant. And by the way, some people pointed out, wearing the little poppy pin, which you were not wearing.
My poppy got knocked out on stage last night.
No, you didn't have one.
On the floor. I did. How dare you say I didn't have a poppy?
There is no photographic evidence of you wearing a poppy.
There may not be after the show.
During the show, before the show, we've got pictures of the whole night.
No.
You're not wearing a poppy.
Well, I'm sorry, it's because it fell out. Have
you got some kind of reason not to wear one?
No, I'll be wearing a poppy today at Chelsea.
Well, you better get down to the station and get one then.
I'm very proud to do so. Could you tell me how much it costs to get on this karaoke machine?
How much?
Yes.
It didn't cost anything.
What, you mean they just let any old bum like you just go and pick up a microphone?
Well, no, the idea of karaoke in a pub...
You're good with microphones, really, are you?
I'm terrific with microphones, yeah. You're the one that's not quite got the know-how technically to do anything. No, the point is that you go... There was a guy sitting there in charge of it, right?
Yes.
And you would go up and say, I'd like to sing a song. Now, I didn't actually go up. My daughter nominated me because she happens to know that I'm a good singer. Yeah. She, by the way, did the most fantastic version of Back to Black by Amy Winehouse.
Oh, really?
You would have sworn it was her singing.
Well, have we got a copy of this? I mean, that sounds like really worth listening to.
No, I recorded
Why didn't you film it?
Well, because I didn't actually know she was doing it. I was standing with my back
so
to
bladderated, you didn't recognise your own daughter.
I was talking to
singing Back to Black.
I was talking to our promoter, who was at the bar.
How much did you have to drink last night?
Not that much. Not that much.
Emma was standing there singing. You're oblivious to it.
If you can imagine the scene,
you're in bladderation central.
No, the karaoke machine was at the back of the pub, right? I was standing with my back to it because I was at the bar and I was talking to our promoter and I heard this voice singing and I thought, well, they must be just playing Amy Winehouse.
Yes,
this is one of my favourite songs. I quite like it anyway.
Yeah.
Back to Black. You probably don't know it because you're not really an Amy Winehouse.
Sean's a good lad, wasn't he?
He's a fantastic man. And he told me some great stories, by the way, most of which I can't repeat.
No,
however,
about famous pop stars and all that kind
of
stuff.
A bit of that, and a bit of sort of, the world of showbiz in Liverpool and Manchester and some of the things that people get up to can be quite dangerous. But anyway, so I heard this woman singing, and I thought, well, that's just an Amy. And I turned around, and it was, and I couldn't believe it was her. It was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant.
Well, she's like that. She's got many talents.
She has indeed. She gets most of them from me, of course.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
She certainly doesn't get her looks from you anyway, because she's a very fine-looking lady, and you're a slob.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming from you, you can't really see further than about 4 feet.
Excuse me, haven't you just said that the picture we had taken in Liverpool yesterday is one of the best pictures we've ever had taken, and that I look slim?
You look great,
and commanding in it, and you don't.
I didn't say commanding. I said you look very good in it.
Have you sent this picture out?
It was sent out hours ago.
Okay, and what's the caption on it, so people can have a look at it, because they will want to see it?
The picture was sent out with me just thanking everybody who came to the O2 last night, and what a great time we had in Liverpool.
Right, okay.
I mean, do try and keep up. You've been up since about 4 a.m. You haven't even looked at some of the stuff I've done on Twitter.
Well, I had to get up at 4 a.m, because if I didn't, we wouldn't have got back, because you... Oh, yeah, this is great. Oh, this is great.
Have you seen the time, by the way?
Hang on, yeah.
No, don't hang on. We've got to do the news.
All right, well, I'll tell you this in a minute.
Tell me in a minute.
Yeah, people need to know this.
All right, keep it to yourself, and we will get to it very shortly. Now, Porky, we've got lots of football coming up this weekend.
We certainly have.
Of course, and who better to talk to about it than our very good friend from BetSafe, Mr. Dom Allsworth. Dom, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the warm-up.
Morning, guys. Good to be on. Welcome back to yourself.
Now listen, I'm slightly concerned, Dom, that you kicked off this feature without me.
That's right,
you knew I was going to be in Sicily for a couple of Saturdays, suddenly you decided to come on and do the Porky Parry and Andy Townsend show.
You see, the first time you do it, you want to be instructed properly how this thing goes. You weren't here, so we got on with it. Dom, it was a pleasure to have you last week, mate. Pleasure to have you today. What's the big game you got your eye on?
Well, I mean, there's lots of sport going on, isn't there, this weekend? Premier League Week 11, it is BetSafe's Premier League prize boost. 31-2, guys. West Ham, Spurs and Leicester all to win at a boosted price, 31-2. Offer available for new and existing customers. Maximum bet £10. Terms and conditions, of course, apply with that.
Okay. The problem for West Ham, of course, they're playing at home, aren't they?
Well, exactly.
Which is not a great place for them to play.
It's a big distraction, isn't it? But Everton beat West Ham 2-0 last week, a score I predicted with BetSafe. I suppose the one that everybody's talking about in the football world, Dom, of course, is Arsenal Spurs.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's a big one. We've got a massive triple chance offer for this game, guys. Walcott, Janssen or Ozil to score the first goal at 9-5. Again, terms and conditions apply. Max bet £10 and new and existing customers, the offer is available too. But what a cracking game to look forward to.
Yeah, what about Leicester West Brom? What are you looking at there?
Yeah.
Well, of course, that's also part of the treble, guys. Leicester West Brom, struggling a bit. West Brom, of course, thrashed 4-0 by Manchester City last week. I thought Leicester City played very well against Spurs in the draw. They seem to be finding their mojo, doing very well in the Champions League, as we know. A typical high-scoring affair, 9 goals across the 2 fixtures last season. So if you're looking at 11-4 for over 3.5 goals with BetSafe and you feel like there could be more goals in it, then why don't you stretch it to 15-2, over 4.5 goals there.
I quite like Mahrez 5-1 to score first as well. That's not bad, is it?
That's a great price. And there was another one as well there for West Ham versus Stoke. He scored quite a few of these from the spot. Dimitri Payet to score direct from a free kick at 8-1. There's a bit of temptation on that one.
Getting back to Arsenal Spurs for a minute, Dom. Of course, Theo Walcott's one of my favourite footballers. Saw the boy score a hat-trick for England abroad, and he's been a favourite of mine ever since. He's in with a triple chance, isn't he? Walcott, Janssen, Ozil in that game. Is that what we're talking about?
Absolutely, Walcott, Janssen or Ozil to score the first goal, Mike, at 9-5. That looks a bit tasty for me, but yeah, absolutely, Walcott's been on fire, and so is Ozil.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And of course, Porky's going down to Stamford Bridge after this show.
Certainly
he's got a few hours to spend, probably, I don't know, in some hostelry or other before the kick-off.
Excuse me.
Well, the show finishes at 1 o'clock, kick-off's at 5:30. Where are you going to be going?
I'll be researching my journals.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, in order to appreciate the game in a way you couldn't.
Quick trips of Wetherspoons.
But I tell you what, that is a tough one, that, Dom, because Everton haven't won at the Bridge for a very, very long time. But you've got an interesting situation. Koeman has tightened up the Everton defence, but I don't think Chelsea have conceded in the last 5. So that's going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one, Mike, but, both teams are scoring goals as well. And, I've got to say, I like the look of what Koeman's done with your team, Everton. If you're looking for some goals in this one, which they could very well be, over 3.5 at 8-5, 4.5 goals at 4-1 with BetSafe. But I picked out a couple of nice ones here for you, Mike, because I'm thinking that your boys might come away with 3 points here. Lukaku, 19-10, and 8-1. That's to score first, guys. And 8-1 to score a header, 7-1 for Lukaku to score, and Everton to win. I'm pretty sure you like those odds.
Wow, I do like those odds because I had Lukaku to score first last week, and he did. I had Barkley to score last, and he did. So I'm on the ball on that one.
That's the first thing you got right in a while.
That one, can you just shut up while I'm talking, Dom? And that one resonates with me in a big way, pal. I look forward to enjoying the spoils of that particular prediction.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to come true for you today down at Stamford Bridge. But there's also some other stuff going on. International rugby, Wales, Australia, Ireland, All Blacks as well.
Absolutely. Great time of the year for rugby fans. The best of the South versus the best of the North for the Autumn Internationals. It kicks off this weekend, as you mentioned, MG. Wales versus Australia. Ireland versus the All Blacks. If you want some really great opinions and tips, go to betsafe.com. And Shane Williams, leading the try scorer for Wales, you can see his predictions throughout the Autumn Internationals. Wales, Australia have won 11 consecutive against the Welsh since 2009. But they've all been tight games. And the Aussies haven't been on the best of form. So for me, Wales at 6-5, looking interesting bet. If the roof is closed, dry conditions, expect a festival of rugby, guys. Some real attacking players on both teams. Over 46.5 points at 6-7. Over 4.5 tries at 5-7. So that's for the Welsh international. I mean, the All Blacks. There's only one winner here for me against Ireland, unfortunately, guys. Sorry to the Irish fans out there, but this is quite possibly the greatest sporting team that the world's ever seen.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, of course, the world's eyes are on Andy Murray today.
They are.
Absolutely. We mentioned it last week, didn't we? And it seems to, everything we said seems to be happening. Djokovic going out yesterday at Chilik. He's in action today against Milos Raonic. All he has to do is win that and advance to the final. And Britain has a world number 1 tennis player. An astonishing achievement. So, I mean, the only value there...
Is there any point in betting against him?
Well, I mean, Raonic has done well in Paris before he reached the final. He beat Federer a couple of years ago and reached the final. I mean, the odds there are 7-2, but do we really want to bet against Andy? We want to see him at the top of the rankings.
Porky will, he doesn't like him.
Oh, no,
well, there you go.
I do. I like him. I like Andy Murray.
You like him now?
A great British sportsman. I think he's great, and he's Scottish, of course, as well. Now, Dom, when you and I met recently in London, whilst people around us were getting bladderated, you and I had a deep and interesting discussion on world geophysical politics.
Did you?
Yes, we did, indeed.
That didn't take long. You were only outside for a couple of minutes.
Could you just shut up while I'm talking to Dom? And as a result of that, of course, and your deep interest in politics, you've got a book on the US election coming up on Tuesday. Can you tell us a bit about that, Dom? What's happening there?
We've got a couple of interesting markets there. I mean, Hillary Clinton 1-3, Trump 11-5. God help us all if that comes off. But here's a couple of great markets here for you guys. Donald Trump to win, and Trump saying something positive about Clinton during the press conference once the winner is official. Yes, 14-5, no, 2-9. And here's a nice little sweet one for the happily married couple. Hillary Clinton to win, Bill and Hillary Clinton to be wearing matching suits in terms of colour during Inauguration Day. 4-1 if you think that's going to happen, guys.
What are the chances of Bill Clinton being allowed into the marital chamber inside the White House?
What sort of question is that?
Well, it's a question.
Well, I mean, he's been in there before, but not necessarily with Hillary.
Well, that's a bit harsh. Let's get off this subject.
Yeah.
Come on, this is a family show.
Tom, thank you very much indeed. Have a great weekend. We'll keep checking those odds, of course, on betsafe.com. Check out the BetSafe blog for more expert Premier League tips and trebles from Paul Dickoff, Alan McInally, Harry Redknapp, and who else?
The two Mikes.
The two Mikes,
Absolutely.
Exactly right. Now, you know what that music is, don't you?
Yes.
It's the 1 minute moan music.
Yes, 1 minute.
Because when they say how long, what
Yes.
it means is actually 60 seconds.
Yes, that's
You've
right.
got 60 seconds of a moan.
That's right.
About whatever's been upsetting you this week.
Okay, I certainly
Quite a
will.
lot's been upsetting you this week, actually, isn't it?
Quite a lot has been. Well, quite a lot's been upsetting me in the last 48 hours.
Yes.
Because I get really, really fed up with people who prevaricate in situations. But that's not what I'm moaning about.
That's good.
Do I get a starting button for this 1 minute moan, or shall I just go?
No, you will get a ticking clock.
Okay, that's great.
And you will be told to start now.
Right, I want to moan about the jury service, OK? And it's personal, so I'm sorry about this, but it is. I've been summoned for jury service a week on Monday. I have to go to Croydon Crown Court and I have to be assessed for jury service, and a trial could last anything from a day or 2 or 3 to 6 months.
Are you allowed to give away where you're going?
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's public duty and it's public recognition. Now, the point is that I want to do jury service. I want to do my job for my country. I want to be part of the due process of law. But I have pointed out in a number of communications with the jury service that I do have quite a high profile. And I believe that turning up at Croydon Crown Court will raise more questions than answers. I also think there's a distinct possibility that if people become aware of the fact that I'm there, I may then in some way interfere with the due process of law, and I've made that clear to the jury service, and I want them to understand I want to do it, but I don't want to be a nuisance and be put up in front of a judge.
Is that it?
Yeah.
You didn't sound very moany, really, to me.
Well, I'm not moaning.
It sounds uncharacteristically sort of sensible.
I wanted to be balanced
What
about
earth
it.
is going on?
I want to be balanced about
Well,
it.
I'm not going to be balanced about my moan, right? Because
Okay.
I'm going to have 1 minute to moan
Okay.
about something that has annoyed an awful lot of people
Okay.
this week. Do you want to give me a starting gun?
OK, I'm going to give you a start and go, mate. I'm going to count you down like I did on the old tablecloth one. This time I'm going to go 3, 2, 1.
You know what I'm fed up with? I'm fed up with Brexit. I'm fed up with the way that David Cameron decided to throw this referendum in front of everybody without telling anybody what it was going to mean. I'm fed up with the fact that David Cameron then left. I'm fed up with the fact that Boris Johnson then completely reversed his position. I'm fed up with the fact that Michael Gove is now no longer in any kind of position of politics at all. Now we've got some woman called Gina Miller who takes the case to a high court and gets a decision from the high court to say, actually, you can't start up Article 50 and start any kind of leaving of the European Union without going through Parliament. Now, apparently, we're going to have to wait until the next election because nobody wants to call a snap election because that wouldn't be fair. So now we're going to be dragged through this ridiculous charade of whether we stay in Europe or we leave Europe for another 5, maybe 10 years, which is completely and utterly nonsensical. So I'm going to blame David Cameron for a start for seeing so short-sightedly his own career and calling a referendum which has left us in a complete and utter state of shambolic mess. And that's it. I can't think of anything else to say on this.
You haven't got much to say on it then, have you?
It's done.
Just about. You just about reached the finishing post, but you'd run out of words.
No, I hadn't.
You did.
And I didn't want to do too many.
And do you know what?
Anyway, what we need for people to do...
I'm afraid yours was woolly and all over the place.
No, it wasn't. What we need for people to do...
Yes.
Well, it wasn't... Once again, it wasn't self-serving. It wasn't about me. Every time you do a 1 minute moan, it's always about you.
Yeah, well,
the first one you did was about, how worried you were that the Deutsche Bank might collapse and it
That's
might
right.
affect your property investments.
That's true.
The second one was something to do with, some car problem that you had,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And every single time you moan, it's always about your own personal problems,
Yeah.
right? I have a much broader brush than that. And so what we need to do now is, at the 2 mics, please, you tweet whether you think my moan was better than Paul. In fact, maybe I'll put a vote out on it. Shall we do that?
Yeah, I think we should.
Put a vote out and then we'll count it up towards the end of the of the season. Now, look at this. One of the guys that was with us in the pub last night, it's called The Crown, by the way.
It was The
has
Crown.
put out a much longer version of one of my songs.
Yes.
Don't Look Back in Anger. So we might play a bit of that later.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do we want
And he
to
is- and he is
subject the nation to that
And
sort
he's
of drivel?
accompanied with it. He's accompanied with it a note which says "superb voice." How about that?
Superb voice. What did he know? Hey, I mean, how many large
really
gin
what
and
does he
tonics
know?
did he have when he
Why are
made
you
that
attacking?
decision?
Why are you attacking him? He's come to about 10 of our shows.
Well,
he's a man of great
he's a
taste.
very decent chap and all that. But I'm sorry, you don't judge the quality of a person singing on a karaoke machine through a mist of intense bladderation. It doesn't work. What's this chap's name?
Ian.
Ian. Well,
Ian is
Ian,
his
thank
name.
you very much for your contribution to the show, pal. Next time, make sure it's the delete button, would you?
Yes, exactly right. Now, aside from you going off down to Chelsea
Yeah.
Stamford Bridge this afternoon
Yeah.
and saying that you're going to be studying your journals before you get down there, are you going with anyone?
Well, I'll see people there, obviously.
No, I mean, are you going with somebody to
Sorry,
the
what
game?
do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, are you taking anyone?
Maybe. I mean, I have a broad range of social.
Well, I thought you were just about to say you have a
connections.
woman that you're taking.
I don't want to get into that. Thank you.
Are you not taking? anyone?
well,
because I'll have to put the Porky police on you.
I
I'll
don't
have to
think
get people to start tweeting pictures of you
I don't
like
think-
they normally do.
I don't think anybody's interested
Oh, I think they
in me going to a football match. You know,
think they are.
it's something millions of us do every week in this country and
Yes.
abroad and around the world, and it's quite. As
Well,
simple
all I
as
know
that.
is that you did tell me a while ago that you had a couple of tickets, and then you went very quiet, and you didn't offer me the other ticket.
No, I
Instead,
didn't,
you've said nothing about it. So all I can assume is that you've given the other ticket to somebody else.
Well, I'm sorry. I do not wish to discuss my social life outside of this it's not recorded studio, it's radio studio, and And I just don't think our millions of listeners are that interested. To
Really?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Okay. You're going to be pretty tired by the end of the day, aren't you? It's quite a big day for you.
Just imagine if I met Sheila Ferguson. Just imagine, hey?
Well, she's not going to be there, is she?
No, I don't think so. No. But she is a friend of mine.
The former 3 degree.
Yes.
What's happened to the other 2 degrees? Where are they?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe 1, 2, and 3 degrees. I don't know.
Now, how about this from Paul?
I'm sure they're wherever they are, they're sparklingly beautiful.
How about this? I've got 2 tweets in already, which tells me that you're going to be beaten into a pulp, right? Well said, MG. The most sense I've ever heard anyone speak on the shambles that we call Brexit.
Yeah.
Laura says, you get my vote, MG. I'm sick of Brexit too.
Yeah, but
See?
it was just a rambling nonsense. You didn't come up with a solution, did you? You didn't come up to a solution to the Brexit.
It's not called the 1 minute solution. It's called the 1 minute moan.
Yeah, but you're supposed to come up with something constructive. And by the way, no more of these, please. This Tim the Trucker, right?
Yeah.
Saying that, so there was a crazed, red-faced, bearded weirdo waving manically from a train at Runcorn railway station.
Correct.
Is it any wonder the Everton's players blanked him? Oh, I don't know. Honestly, the misinformation you put out about me is hideous.
It's not me, it's the Liverpool Echo,
hideous.
a paper of very, very held in very, very high esteem.
Yeah, by the way, one of our producers was talking to our lawyers who were going to be calling the Liverpool Echo.
Oh, right.
And to find out just
I'm
exactly...
sure they'll be quaking in their boots.
Just
I mean,
exactly
to be fair,
who gave them permission to steal a picture of mine.
Well, it's not stealing, is it? If you've taken that picture and you put it out on your social media account, that is publishing it. So what they've done is they've republished it.
And then putting an interpretation upon it, which at best is misguided and at worst is imagined.
Are you saying it's like something you would have done when you were working for the newspapers?
I would never have done that.
Absolutely shocking.
I would never ever have put something into print like that I couldn't justify by having checked my facts. Do they check the facts anymore, them guys?
Well, they assume because you are the seeker of truth and justice that if you tweet something out, that it's absolutely true. Unfortunately, the picture does not represent the caption.
I told you. I was waving at the Everton players who were waving back at me.
I saw them. They were not waving back.
And then when
this is coming from a guy who thinks the trees are waving at him as well.
When they'd stopped waving, I took a picture of them on the platform, and now to be said, to be humiliated by the Everton players ignored me and dismissed me and thought I was a weirdo is actually quite hurtful.
Yeah, I know, but I mean it's not untrue though, so therefore you have no rights of reply. Now coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking to Adrian Durham. He's up at the Etihad for Manchester City against Middlesbrough. Dave Rose at Molineux. That's a 12:30 kick-off between Wolves and your good mate Steve McLaren at Derby. Which I mean,
a mouse where she's on.
I don't know what he's talking like these days. It's a happy birthday to Brian Adams today, you know.
I wondered why you were playing that, and of course that's what was it, Summer of '69.
Summer of '69.
Now, although that I think that's his best record because it's lively and upbeat and all that.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not his most enduring record, is it?
I suppose you're thinking of the Robin Hood one, aren't you?
I am indeed. Yeah. I lived in a riverside apartment in those days, another penthouse, and
you never lived in a penthouse in New York.
No, I'm talking about in London, down the highway.
In London?
Down the
right.
highway.
Oh, yeah,
Wapping.
okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You're sorry you gave that place up, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, actually.
That'd be worth about $3 million now or something.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Do you know what I sold it for?
No.
About 420.
Well, for most people, that's a hell of a lot of money.
I know, but
so you shouldn't be moaning and groaning about that.
Yeah, I know.
As far as that wasn't your 1 minute moan.
I'm surprised it wasn't.
I could have had a problem with $3 million.
Anyway, one advantage, of course, of living on the river, and I mentioned that because I remember that echoing around the building, the one about...
Everything I do it for you.
That's right, yeah. Because it was a ballad, wasn't it? And I like ballads. Ballads are slow and gloomy. I like rock and roll, like the one we just
Well, it's a love song, really, isn't it?
It's a love song.
He's a Chelsea fan, by the way, Brian Adams.
Yeah, he is. And well, actually, it's a very good story, this. I think he lives on Cheney Walk, okay? He certainly used to.
Right.
And you know where those people live on those houseboats?
Oh, yeah.
Just at the end of Cheney Walk there, And
sort of Chelsea Harbour.
Now, the story I was told, and so I hope I'm not besmirching the reputation of Mr. Brian Adams.
Well, because he's got a lot of money and he will sue you.
He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of money. But the story...
And he'll have a much better case than you've got against Liverpool.
He certainly will, yeah. But the story I was told was that he lived in this place in Cheney Walk and he got annoyed by late-night revellers at the pub next door. So he bought it.
He bought the pub?
Yeah.
There's a couple of nice pubs down there, actually.
Well, there isn't. There's like one less now because apparently it was converted into
a restaurant or something.
No, I think it's a flat or something like that. I think
really?
I think it was part of his property investment or something like that. I don't know if that's wrong. Sorry about that, but I think it's right. Anyway, what I was going to say is that the great advantage of living on a riverside in a riverside penthouse is. On nights like tonight, which is November the 5th...
It is, Guy Fawkes.
You see the fireworks all over the place. I mean, not just, in your neighbourhood. You see them all over the place. You see them down at the Millennium Wheel. You see them over the other side of the river and, like the Dome
Do
and
they
all
still
that
do,
kind of
because
stuff.
I'm very rarely actually in London for Guy Fawkes, do they still do a big river display on a barge?
In one year, didn't it set fire to the river or something? And, no, it did.
No, I don't think so.
I think it was a chain of barges and the flame was supposed to leap from one to another, and all that kind of stuff. But the worst thing... Oh, no, that's New Year's Eve, isn't it? That's New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve they do it, yeah. But what I'm wondering is, because they used to, when I was a lad, my dad used to work for the Evening News, and their building was Northcliffe House, which was in Bouverie Street.
Yes, I know the building very well.
We used to go down there every Guy Fawkes, and we could go up to the roof and watch the river display, which was brilliant.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was a great building. That great old newspaper building. They're going.
It was,
of course,
but what I'm not sure of is whether they still do it, because the big news. In fact, he played, did he not? I think last New Year at the concert on the river. Brian Adams.
Did he?
I think he did. Yeah.
Did he? Okay. Now it's Bonfire night. Yeah. Now, of course, you have competitive. Or competing thoughts about Bonfire Night. First of all, you've got two young boys who will love the explosion and the bang and the colour and the fizz and the spin
and
of...
it's pretty much nice weather for it
of
as
a Catherine wheel. But on the other hand, you've got your dog. You've got Ziggy the dog.
Yes. Why do you have to give his name away?
Well, everybody knows the name.
No, not everybody. Every time you give the name away, more people know it.
How do you marry the two of these responsibilities together?
As people with kids will know, normally what you do is you get a little box of fireworks and you have some in the garden, and you get them to light a couple of sparklers and all that kind of thing. But since we've had the dog, we don't do that. He hates this time of year. He gets very sort of nervous and chippy. I mean, ever since Halloween, he doesn't like Halloween much either, right? Because the kids put masks on, and he starts barking at them. Because he's frightened by the masks.
It's very confusing.
Because he's quite a simple creature, but he's a lovely dog.
Yes, of course he is. Yeah.
And fireworks have been going on pretty much for about a week now. And he sometimes, when the fireworks are very loud, he'll go and cower in a corner and just sit there shaking.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. That's terrible. So what do you do tonight then?
Well, I've got a solution here, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to pick some of this up before I get down there. Right. Basically, I'm going to send the kids with their mother up to the fireworks where they can watch them.
And where are they?
Well, they're in the same town that we live, but they've moved them slightly because it was possible last year to watch them from the garden. Yes, but they've moved them to the other side of the.
But can you still hear the bang and the fizz and the whiz?
So I'm going to stay home with the dog.
Oh, I see.
And just comfort him and stroke him, and
I'm quite impressed.
Maybe play a bit of music. Impressed. But how about this? Right, I'm going to buy him a pair of muffs. What do you think of that?
Let's have a look.
A hearing protection for dogs, which I think is great.
That's pretty good, though. I'm quite impressed with that.
What do you think?
Muffs, hearing protection for dogs. Let me see. Films are intended to reduce stress felt by animals during fireworks.
Yeah.
Films? What do you mean?
Films? Are you sure you're reading that correctly?
Surreal films designed to soothe dogs and cats and distract them from loud noise. What, you mean these...
I think the muffs are separate from the films.
What? No, what they do is, the way I'm reading it, is that these are not just muffs. They actually
they're like headphones?
Yeah, headphones. They play some sort of dialogue to the dog, soothing stuff.
In connection perhaps with a film.
Do you know what I think this... No, I think what it does is, I think they have expressions. Somebody does a voiceover saying things like, nice doggy.
Yeah.
All right, doggy.
Well, why can't I do that?
You're okay, doggy.
Well, I suppose he's got the muffs on, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you'd be saying it, but he'd still be hearing the bang and the whiz, whereas this will impart what you could call isolated audio into his ears.
I mean, as people with dogs will know, it's not that easy to put anything on a dog's head that will stay there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and find a pair of these, right? Yeah. And I'll see if I can put them on him. I might be able to create the same effect by putting on something that he likes on television.
I have to say...
Because he loves watching.
What?
Anything with dogs in it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he absolutely sits there and just watches it.
Why don't you get a box set of Lassie?
Well, I'm wondering about that. But he might.
Isn't that a good idea?
It's a great idea.
Good idea.
But what? Because when Crufts was on, we used to put that on for him, and he would sit there quite happily watching it for ages.
Really?
Yeah.
Watching his fellow dogs and all that kind of stuff.
And if there was a particular dog that he liked a lot, he would sort of get up, put his front paws on the thing that television's on, and look really closely.
Do you know what he'd love? He'd love Scooby Doo.
He might like Scooby Doo, but
what's the name of the dog in Scooby Doo?
Scooby Doo.
Oh, was that the name of the dog? Sorry. I thought it was a cartoon with human characters in it and a dog.
Yeah, but the dog's called Scooby-Doo.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, I've got it.
That's the clue.
No, okay. Now,
Dear God.
Now, listen.
Now, by the way,
Yeah.
I've got some good news for you.
Go on.
They've managed to process the longer version of my karaoke.
That's not good news for anybody.
Which is me singing "Don't Look Back in Anger," which actually is better than the one I did of Don McLean.
We're not going to be listening to that
Yeah,
as well, are
I
we?
think we're going to give it a listen. Oh, that's great.
I mean, you're clearly completely blathering.
Not at all.
You are clearly...
I'm starting to get a bit into it now. It's brilliant.
Well, this is a disgrace. Damn disgrace.
You hate this, don't you?
I mean, while you were doing that, I was sorting out...
You were sorting out some problems we've had with a DVD that's coming out.
Some contractual detail late at night.
You know.
Back in my hotel room.
All on your own.
Emailing people in Europe.
Yeah.
And
Well, I was out having fun.
Trying to
Dancing,
contact
singing,
people around the world
drinking.
to get things moving.
Yeah.
And you were out in a state of total blatteration,
See,
massacring
trouble
one of
with
the
you
great rock and roll songs of the last 30
with
years.
your mate Liam Gallagher.
With my mate Liam Gallagher.
It's my
yeah.
personal tribute to him.
What was your body language like when you were doing this?
Well, you can look at the video and see it's on
I
Twitter.
don't want to look at the video, thank you.
People
but I
are-
mean, were you giving it all the old stoop?
I was giving it a bit of... Yeah, well, when I started to get a bit
Yeah.
animated, I started to get into it.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Blinking disgrace.
Absolutely great song. The trouble with you is you don't know how to enjoy yourself.
I know how to enjoy myself, mate. I enjoy myself when I've put in a decent day's work
Well,
and I've got a result at the end of the day.
we have done a decent day's
We went
work.
up to Liverpool to entertain
hang
people
on.
who paid good money to see us perform a stage show,
Yeah.
and you end up in some
All right.
backstreet boozer blathering and blatherating into a microphone.
You're just jealous of my lifestyle.
Like you're some sort of rock star. You're a
jealous.
disgrace.
Jealous of my lifestyle.
I
Well,
mean,
let me tell you.
I'm telling you what,
Well-
honestly, the morals of an alley cat doesn't even describe the way you live your
Well,
you
here's
live your
here's
life.
our working day, right? It started at midnight, the night before Thursday. Thursday going into Friday midnight, right?
Yes.
We did a show on TalkSport from 1 until 4 a.m., right?
did, yeah.
I went home. I had a bit of a sleep.
Yeah.
We then met at Euston at 1 o'clock, took a train to Liverpool.
No, we met early in 1 o'clock. We met at about quarter past 12.
The train went at 1 o'clock, right?
Well, 12, yeah, train went at 1.
Got up
yeah.
to Liverpool, did
Yeah.
a few pictures before we got to the great hotel that you managed to find.
It was
for
great,
us.
wasn't it? There was a photographer waiting for us at Lime Street
There
as we
was.
came out.
Yeah.
Amazing, the way things have escalated.
Yes,
yeah.
indeed, absolutely right.
Yeah.
He did take some very good pictures, which will be on our new website when it launches in a few weeks' time.
Yes.
The 2mics.co.uk. Right. And then we went and did a show.
Yes.
Right. So I think I'm quite entitled after the end of the show, which finished at around about 10 o'clock, after about an hour of meeting some of the fans, doing pictures, signing, signing
Yeah,
T-shirts
yeah.
and all that. I think I'm perfectly entitled to go and have a good time for a couple of hours.
I thought it was quite interesting, by the way, during the course of that day, that when we got to the academy, the chap who fixes all the posters came in and stuck a poster on the wall saying start 8:45.
Starts 8:45.
So we said, actually, we're not waiting till 8:45
Yeah.
to start. And then
At this point, it was about 6:45.
it was about 6:45. And then the producer comes in, introduces himself, Sean, great guy,
Yeah.
and very experienced in these things. And he actually admitted, well, we like the crowd to get a bit blatherated
Yeah.
before you get on stage.
Yeah, well, also...
Which is great.
Yeah, no, but not only
Yeah.
that, he said
Yeah.
normally what happens is people expect you never to be on stage on time.
Exactly.
So he said, we said we've been telling everyone that we're on stage at 7:30, doors open at 7.
Yeah.
So people were queuing up outside
I
in
know.
the rain.
There was a queue all the way
Which
down
was-
the street.
Which was amazing,
We
right?
felt a bit sorry for them, so he said, look, go and open the doors.
Yeah.
And we went on stage eventually at 7:45.
7:45, which was absolutely
I have
right.
to say, it was even though I say it myself, it was a terrific reaction from the audience. Honestly, thank you very
I
much.
think it was one of the
It's great.
greatest nights of our sort of partnership on the stage, actually.
Well, it was a great appreciation from the crowd, and thank you ever so much to everybody who came along and so generously made it a great night.
Yeah, what a shame you couldn't have a good time. But never mind. You can't change the habits of a lifetime.
Honestly,
This is TalkSport.
you're an alley cat.
We've teamed up with Life Skills created by Barclays to help the next generation of football fans follow their dreams and start a career in the beautiful game. If you're aged between 18 and 24, you can now apply for the work experience of a lifetime at several Premier League clubs. Thanks to Barclays, this week we also gave away tickets to Man City against Middlesbrough at the Etihad this afternoon. Joining us on the phone now is this week's winner, Anthony. A very good afternoon to you, Anthony.
Good afternoon, gents. How are we?
Yeah,
Anthony,
very well
very good,
indeed.
thank
You're
you.
very excited for the big game?
I am indeed, yeah. Just on the service station on the way up, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a great stadium, the Etihad. Have you been there before?
I haven't actually, no. I'm a bit of an armchair fan, to be honest.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, listen, you'll have a great time at the Etihad. It's fantastic.
The thing is, mate, you're lucky to be going to a ground with a team where most of the time you expect to win. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly. And if I can say it, and I don't mean this in any detrimental way, it's quite easy being a Manchester City fan in this day and age, but it was very, very hard being a Manchester City fan about 25 years ago.
But they've had an awful lot of very, very die-hard fans who stayed with them through thick and thin.
Oh, indeed. Honestly, you may be one of them, mate. You know, you guys dropped into the third tier of English football, but you never deserted your team. True sign of a great club, and now you're back up there amongst the elite, and it really is the elite when you're beating Barcelona. How did you feel after the Barcelona victory, Anthony?
Oh, it was great. Especially after the first game that we played them. Mm-hmm. It was great to say having them at home and then obviously get that result against them. The team played really, really well, so very, very impressed.
It is now the glamour team of the Premier League at the moment. Anyway, you're taking your girlfriend along, I understand, Anthony, as well. Is she going to her first football match?
It's her first football match that she's been to in a while, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, first one she's been to with you, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a personal question.
No, it's groundbreaking. New experience, and you know, she may look at you in a new light when she sees your expansive knowledge of football and the game and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if he starts kind of hurling abuse at the players or starts sort of standing up and shouting and all that sort of thing, you've got to be careful. Watch the behaviour. Yeah. What about a predicted score? I mean, Middlesbrough haven't done too badly of all the teams that came up, I suppose you might say. They've got 2 wins. They've got 10 points. So they're out of the relegation zone at the moment, but you'd have to say they haven't got much chance.
No, I mean, the last 2 games, though, I think they've improved massively, but I still think it should be a comfortable win for us. I'm thinking 3-0.
3-0, yeah. Well, that's very ambitious, but I mean, football's based on confidence, and you won't find a more confident team in the Premier League. Anthony, I want to thank you very much indeed, mate, for joining us today. And to our millions of listeners, enjoy the game, please do. To our millions of listeners, you can hear how Anthony got on in the full-time phone-in tonight from 7:30, OK? Now, that is all thanks to life skills created by Barclays. Don't forget, if you're aged between 18 and 24, you can now apply for the work experience of a lifetime at several Premier League clubs, including Manchester City. And to get the info and the lowdown on all of that, visit barclayslifeskills.com. And please remember, all the terms and conditions apply.
Now, coming up right after us at 1 o'clock, of course, is Match Day Live from the Etihad in Manchester City. And, of course, the man who is up there for us is Adrian Durham. Adrian, very good afternoon.
You know what, you're right, it's a great stadium. And not just that, the whole Etihad campus is absolutely magnificent. It's stunning, it really is. I mean, there's football pitches everywhere. There's another stadium over the road. The whole thing, what they've done here, what Sheikh Mansour and his people have done here, whether you like Man City or not, you have to just sit back and admire it. It's fantastic.
And the thing is, Aid, I was talking to that lad Anthony just talked about. I mean, I can remember when Joe Royle went to Manchester City to try and haul them back out of the third tier of English football, and yet they were filling the old main road every week. And if that is a sign of a great club. It happens now down at Portsmouth where I live. The fans still pour in, and that is the sign. That is the sign of fans who really are hardy.
Well, I've got a bit of history with Man City. My best friend at uni, John's a big Man City fan, and we used to, one week we'd go to Man City games.
You've still got friends from uni, have you?
I know.
I'm amazed at that.
It's so long ago as well. But he had the raw deal, because one week we'd go to a Man City game, the next week we'd go to Peterborough game. So,
Did you ever end up in the same division?
No, we didn't.
No,
we played each other in the cup, but that was long before he and I knew each other. But I stood on the Kipax with him, the old main road. I mean, a massive terrace along the side of the ground.
Yes, I remember.
Fantastic atmosphere.
I remember it
and to see this here, I'm in the Etihad right now. The sun's shining on the blue seats over the way, and a lot of people, the City haters, United fans, etc., go on about, there'll be some empty seats or some people dressed as seats, etc. Of course, it's a bigger ground. I mean, just because it's not full doesn't mean a lot of people haven't come.
I tell you what, Aid, it's very interesting you're there. And have you been to the London Stadium?
Yes, I've only seen rugby there. I've not seen football there yet.
Well, maybe you can answer this question. Manchester City converted a stadium that was built for athletics. West Ham have just done the same. How come City have made it work?
I think what you have to do is go right back in history, and I think at the time I was talking to somebody on social media about this week. Right back at the start, when they were before West Ham won it, long before West Ham won the right to own it, but to be in that ground.
Yes, to lease it.
They wanted their original plan, I believe, was to knock it down and build a proper football stadium. But that was denied. Now, for me, as soon as that's denied, then you pull out of the whole thing. But West Ham continued, said they could work with what they've got, and clearly they couldn't. It's very shallow seating. The Olympic Stadium, which is a big problem in terms of football. I think there's a lot of things that haven't been done, and one of the big problems is West Ham. I think in some ways it's to their credit that they got it on the cheap. Okay, they got a great deal for the football club, which is all you can expect of the owners and the people running the place, so fair play to them for that. But they got it so cheap that I think what they've done is they've kind of not washed their hands of responsibility for it, but they've handed over responsibility to it because they wanted it on the cheap. They have to intervene, West Ham, and make sure everything is right. I mean, I saw Karen Brady, who I admire a lot, but she got a tweet this morning from a fan saying, well, I've been to every home game, I've never had a problem. She said, yeah, me neither. And I thought, well, it's just because one person has tweeted you saying, you can't ignore the clear problems that keep happening at the ground.
I think they were so delighted that the deal went through and that it all worked out very well for them. I think they sort of dropped the ball a little bit, didn't they? A
little bit, yeah. And I just to bring it back to the comparison with the Etihad here, I think what Sheikh Mansour did was made sure. You know, he was him and his people were totally on top of the whole thing.
Did they rebuild a lot? Did they rebuild a lot of it?
Yeah, but I think they did. I mean, they reshaped it certainly, and on the inside, there's no running track or no hint of a running track around here. Exactly. I mean, it is a magnificent cathedral of football, as so many stadia are around the country these days. And West Ham, they did drop the ball, and they've kind of missed a great opportunity, whether it's their fault or not. They've missed a great opportunity to build a fantastic stadium there, and it's a shame, really.
It is. Now, can you still feel the rumblings of that magnificent night against Barcelona all around you there, Aid?
Yeah, you know what? I feel a bit sorry for Pep Guardiola because I read a piece in The Guardian this morning. It's an excellent piece from Amy Lawrence. It's about Mesut Ozil. And it basically says the goal was the talk of Europe this week, which it probably was, but Man City beat Barcelona playing the Barcelona way. That should be the talk of Europe, not Mesut Ozil scoring a goal against Chesterfield. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was an amazing story. It's gone under the radar, but I think Pep Guardiola might be quite happy with that. He doesn't talk extensively about it in his programme notes. He mentions it. He talks about the atmosphere in the stadium. Once they'd got the equaliser, he said that's when the whole thing changed. So he's praising the fans. And the only other time he mentions it is when he says we've prepared for Borough in the same way we've prepared for Barcelona. So he's not going over the top about the result. It is, after all, just a group game that they've won at home.
Not a great message for Middlesbrough fans, though, is it? But what do you think at the end of this weekend? Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all on 23 points, all number one, if you like. You think one is going to emerge as the top of the Premier League?
Don't take Chelsea out of that because they're going to destroy Everton tonight, obviously.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, sorry, mate.
Wash your mouth out.
I don't know.
What, you mean after the Everton players blanked Porky when he won the train?
Oh, you lot laughing at?
Yeah, they will lock the doors, please.
I bet you there's not one Peterborough player who'd recognise you.
I'm quite glad about that, to be honest. No, there's it's great at the top, isn't it? I think Chelsea have got themselves back in it because he's found them a way for them to play. I think it will be tough for them against Everton tonight. When they play well, they look really good. But those top three, I can't see anything other than an Arsenal win against Tottenham. I saw Middlesbrough get a point at Arsenal, actually, and they played really well and could have won it. So if they play like that, they might have half a chance here, but you'd expect on the balance of probabilities Man City to win this. So it's just great at the top of the table, isn't it? Fantastic. And, Leicester, Tottenham, getting left behind, aren't they?
They are a little bit. They are. Yeah. Adrian, looking forward to it. It's all coming up at 1 o'clock. Match day live. Adrian Durham up at the Etihad. Manchester City against Middlesbrough. And, of course, later on this afternoon, Porky will be there, so do look out for him. Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea against Everton.
What do you mean, do look out for me? You're now inviting people to give me abuse.
Not abuse, no. Just to say hello to you.
That was the insinuation in your voice then.
I said say hello to you.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're up to.
Because, you're being blanked by people right, left and centre. In fact, I've got a great tweet of the day here from Jane. Poor old Porky will now be known as El Blanco instead of El Planco since the Runcorn Station debacle. Now, I've got some bad news for you. There's only about 20 minutes left in our poll. Who gets your vote for the 1 minute moan, which is on the 2 Mike's Twitter account. I can report that at the moment it's 54% to me, 46% to you.
Yeah, but you see, you launched the poll with a very loaded description of what it was all about in your favour.
Not at all.
Yes, you did.
No, I've just told you
I
what it
didn't get the
says.
chance to tell the audience to vote for me.
Well, you did. It says who gets
like
your
them to vote for me.
It's a perfectly straightforward
I want them
voting
to vote for me.
process. Well, if you want them to vote for you, you've already
Don't
made
understand.
you've already made your pitch, right? This is not the Donald Trump show. You've already made your pitch. You said that you were moaning about being called up for jury service, which is what every democratically minded person should be very willing to do.
And
right?
I'm very willing to do it.
You object to being treated like everybody else.
No, I want to do it, and I am willing to do it, and I'm desperate to do it to do my duty in society.
You are not
in the legal
desperate to do it.
process. I just want to make it clear that I have pointed out I do not want to be hauled up in front of a judge and told you've brought too much publicity and attention to this trial.
Why do you keep talking about it then?
Well, because I want to make the authorities aware of the fact that, look, we're talking now and there's millions of people listening. So, you're supposed to be, jurors are supposed to be anonymous. And I just don't believe, and I'm not being big-headed, I'm being practical, I don't think I will be anonymous in a Crown Court. It's more likely that somebody's going to put out some sort of a message, hey, it's Porky up for drunk driving, or, it's Porky up for drunk and disorderly or
well,
something.
we shall see. Anyway, you had your chance to make your pitch, and so did I. So, I'm not going to bang on about it.
No.
All I'm saying is that I'm leading. I must tell you also that there's an awful lot of praise coming in for my singing of that Oasis song. Yeah. Gaz says, well done, MG. That was actually good. Mr. Parry seems a bit jealous about it.
I'm not
what
jealous.
a result.
I'm not jealous. I don't. That's not the way I behave late at night, can I tell you?
Well, nobody knows what you behave like late at night. You just disappear.
That is not the way I behave late at night. Now, listen, I want to talk to you about something, right, very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, you are Scottish, of course, yeah?
Well, I'm British, actually.
Yeah, I thought you claimed to be Scottish a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I am Scottish, but I'm British. I consider myself to be British.
Yeah, when did you last go to Scotland?
How is that difficult for you?
When did you last go to
When
Scotland?
did I last go to Scotland? When we went to the Edinburgh Festival.
Right, okay.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was in August.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now,
we've currently got a live podcast out, and very soon there'll be a DVD out from it.
I have come across this amazing...
This is almost as good as you last night, right?
What?
On stage in Liverpool, saying, you've never been, arguing about trying to make me out to be somebody who hates the North. You've never been to Manchester, you said.
Yes.
And I had to point out that we've actually done 2 shows there.
Well, yes, but I mean, that's, in 2 years. That's the only time you've been there. Listen, I've come across this amazing situation. There's a 44-year-old geezer from Denmark who is, no, I'm not joking, he's buying up Scotland.
Is he?
He's buying up Scotland.
Well, which bit of it?
All of it. He's bought, over the last few years, he's bought 218,364 acres of Scotland.
Is he a sort of a deer hunting enthusiast or something?
He just likes Scotland. He went on holiday there when he was a kid. He's now a billionaire businessman from Denmark. And I'll tell you what he's bought. He's bought these following estates.
Right.
The Polar Estate, the Errible Estate, Kinloch, Ben Loyal, Ben Hope, Alduri Castle.
Ben Hope.
Yeah, Ben.
No Hope.
yeah.
Bob Hope.
I was going to say,
Ben Hope.
Could have been the birthplace of Bob Hope. Ben Hope, yeah. Alduri Castle, the Glenfeshi Estate, the Gaelic Estate, the Tulloch Ambrairare Estate, the Lion Barrack Estate, and the Strathmore Estate. I mean, Strathmore's where they make the whiskey.
I would have thought
He's bought
so, yeah.
it. He's bought it.
Well, that's fantastic. Who is this guy?
He bought his 12th Highland Estate. This guy's name is Anders Holch.
So, I mean, is he some kind of industrialist or something?
Sorry, Anders Holch Povelsen. Anders Holch Povelsen.
Okay.
I told you, if you were listening, he's a Danish billionaire.
Yeah, well, that's not enough information.
Why?
Well, because I want to know why he's a Danish billionaire. Is he a land billionaire? Is he a gold billionaire? Is he a furniture billionaire?
He's known
Cheese.
as... He's a bit of a recluse.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of a recluse, right? But where do you make his money?
They don't know, do they? That's the thing. Maybe he's one of these mysterious people.
No. Here we go. He's a clothing mogul.
A clothing mogul?
Yeah, actually.
This is not the same guy that is the father of that Formula One driver who made his fortune from importing Pierre Cardin shirts
to Canada.
into Canada.
Seems to be clothing moguls all over the place.
Yeah.
But he lives in the medieval Constantinsborg Manor, just outside Denmark's second city, which is Aarhus.
You see, that's interesting, because if you'd said to me, what's Denmark's second city, I don't think I would have known.
No, I wouldn't either.
Aarhus.
No.
Have they got a football team?
I've never heard of one, have you?
No.
Copenhagen,
of course. Well, they played Leicester, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah. But anyway, it says here, for instance, they've shown me a picture of part of what he owns. I'll show it to you. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful Scottish
That is gorgeous.
landscape? Yeah. And he owns it all.
Well, we've got a piece of Scottish land, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
We have. You know, I investigated it, actually, the other day.
Oh, yes.
Because I thought enough time has gone by.
How big is it?
It's about a square foot.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Is that it?
For some reason, I thought...
You were talking about building a house on it,
Well, I thought it might be like a little plot. But it's actually, what it is actually a way of fundraising for the national park.
Yeah, I see.
So I'm disappointed to have to tell you it's only a square foot.
And anyway, this the caption.
What do you mean anyway?
Yes, that's very interesting.
I'm trying to help you out here with some Scottish land.
No, the caption to this beautiful landscape in Scotland, it says, Ben Loyal raises above the waters of Loch and Hackle.
Loch and Hackle.
So Loch and Hackle is
Sounds
a
like
loch.
block and tackle.
Yeah, I thought it was a place, but it's like a.
You've seen the time, by the way.
Hang on one of the estates in Sutherland, owned by Danish clothing magnate, he has a vision of returning vast areas of the Highlands to a wilder landscape, laddie.
Right, well, thank you very much indeed for that.
Aye.
Aye. We haven't done too many voices in this show, actually. But I was going to ask you about Andre Villas-Boas getting an £11 million a year job down in China. I mean, can you imagine that? Giving a load of money to Sven-Göran Eriksson, who now seemingly has departed. I don't know where he's going to turn up next.
Yeah.
And then Andre Villas-Boas has now turned up.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
He got 11.4 million when he left Chelsea for
Well, he's getting 11 million a year here.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Incredible.
I mean, these guys
Absolutely
are
incredible.
wealthy,
Yeah. Despite your imploring people to vote for you, that hasn't changed anything. It's 53% to 47%.
Well, it has
so
changed.
you've got 1%.
Oh, that's good.
And you've only got 5 minutes left because
Yeah.
the poll closes at 1 o'clock.
Please vote Porky and vote often.
How about
That's
this
what
one
I say.
from Steve? Only 1/3 of the 3 degrees works. That's good, isn't it? Quite clever.
Yeah, it's quite good, yeah.
So you're going to see Sheila Ferguson down at the bridge, eh?
Well, I can't. I don't want to get into the social networking that I'm involved in at the moment, please. You know, it's rather personal.
Sweet Feathery says you've got 2 square feet of land in Scotland. If that was in London, you could build a house on it and rent it to an Egyptian doctor.
Well, you couldn't, but you could flog it to somebody who'd build a garage on it or something like that. You know, they go for a lot of money, garages these days.
Here's one from David. He
Yes.
says, I believe you can be taken to court by trying to get out of jury service by making it public.
Well,
You've tried that, haven't you?
No, I'm not trying to get out of jury service. I make it absolutely clear that I am desperate to do my jury service. What I do not want to do is to, in any way, threaten the smooth running of the judicial system. And if somebody suddenly comes up to me in the corridors of the Crown Court and starts talking to me, I don't know what to do. What do you do if somebody says,
Well, just ignore them like you do when everybody else comes up to talk to you.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it?
Now, we've got a message here. We were asking earlier about the second city in Denmark, right?
Yes.
Buga. He says, yes, they do have a football team. It's called Aarhus Gymnastic Forening. Right?
Aarhus
And it's
Gymnastic.
shortened to AGF.
Yeah. Could you imagine if, you suddenly piped up and said, I'm professional football, let's see your CV.
Yeah.
And it said, 6 seasons.
With Aarhus
Aarhus.
Gymnastic
Gymnastic,
Forening.
well, isn't it? Yeah. I wonder what their average home crowd